Hey guys, and welcome back to Mad About Skin. In today's video, we're asking, whatever happened? Where did they go? These are the big name skincare brands that kind of disappeared without a trace. Brands that were huge a couple of years ago, but you'd struggle to find on the shelves today. Lots of things can happen, so this kind of got me thinking. Let's do a little bit of digging and work out what exactly went on behind the scenes that led to these super hyped brands kind of failing to register on people's radars today. I want you to sit back, relax as we talk skincare brands that disappeared. Now, before we get into this, if there are any other brands that you'd like to add to this list, sound off in the comments section below. I know I'm going to be reading your comments and kicking myself thinking, oh, of course I should have included that brand, so I might do like a part 2 to this. But let's get the conversation going and sound off with any other brands you think are worthy of a mention on this list in the comment section below. I'm going to keep this super short, sharp and to the point, but before we delve into it, just a reminder to say if you like me, you like the channel, the content we create here on Mad About Skin, don't forget to reach down and give this video a big thumbs up and a like. The more likes the video gets, the more widely YouTube distribute it on its platform. So I'm just always so grateful to each and every one of you that takes that moment out of your day to like the content we create. Now, with all that being said, shall we cut the waffles and just delve straight on in? And I'm going to start with Glam Glow. Now, this is the brand that was kind of the inspiration for this video. I was trawling TK Maxx, known as TJ Maxx, I think, in North America, and I was looking at their skincare section, because honestly, you can get some really good, affordable finds there. And there was a couple of Glam Glow masks, and I thought, wow, that takes me back. Not a brand you really see in mainstream stores today. If you look back to like 4 years ago, you couldn't watch a single skincare video here on YouTube without someone slathering on one of the Glam Glow products. All their masks had like that glittery feel, some lifted the skin, some hydrated the skin, some claimed to be like a facelift in a bottle, and everyone went mad despite the ridiculously high price point. Cut to today, really, you just don't see them talked about anymore, and I think there's a couple of reasons. So let's start with that price point itself. You know, while people are hyping a brand, I think people are sometimes happy to splurge, spend their hard-earned coin to get in on that hype. But if a brand is ridiculously expensive and overpriced, there has to kind of be something behind that hype. They have to do something amazing to make you want to keep buying it time and time again. This just wasn't the case with Glam Glow. I think people bought it because of the celebrity endorsements. They tried them, they liked the mask, but they thought, really, is this worth like $90 of my hard-earned coin? Probably not. So they switched to other masks and just never really purchased them again. I think that's the first point. I think this is also a brand that's kind of fallen foul of just people's changing attitudes towards the environment and people's awareness of sustainability and what really goes into products. Their masks were pumped full of microplastics and glitter, things that just end up in our water systems. I think we've all been a little bit more mindful of the products that we use, and really there was a big movement around 3 years ago to remove those microbeads, microplastics from skincare because it was ending up in water sources and doing the environment no good whatsoever. They also had very little benefit on our skin, so it was kind of all a bit pointless. Glam Glow really didn't cotton onto this and reformulate any of their products. They still contain microplastics today, so people kind of thought, there's just better elsewhere, more sustainable options to be found. Finally, I think that Glam Glow just associated themselves with the wrong personalities and influencers. So influencer marketing was a huge trend over the past 4 years, where brands would reach out for relatively small amounts when you compare to like billboard marketing campaigns and say to these influencers, for a small amount, if you test our product out, you enjoy it, promote it, you know, we'll keep the sponsorship money coming in. They chose some big name celebrities and influencers that had like million+ followings, and unfortunately, of course, when a brand is associated with an influencer and that influencer does something that's a little bit shady or a little bit problematic or declines in popularity, they can sometimes drag that brand with them. And Glam Glow hitched themselves to a whole suite of different influencers, but quite a few of them ended up with quite problematic pasts, things that came to light. I'm thinking of the likes of like Jeffree Star, who was the #1 promoter of Glam Glow. Of course, his star, pardon the pun, kind of fell a little bit, and of course, people that then started questioning whether they actually like Jeffree Star then started to say, do I really want to be associated with brands that he supports? And this, I think, did tarnish Glam Glow just a little bit. Of course, this has got to be taken in the round. I think all of these factors led to the decline, but ultimately, I think it's the price point. People realised they could get better, higher performance skincare masks at a fraction of the cost, so kind of switched it out, especially with the cost of living rising at the moment. So unfortunately, I don't think Glam Glow really has a future. Now let's come on to function of beauty. If you think like 2 years ago, you couldn't watch a single YouTube video without somebody saying, this is sponsored by Function of Beauty, and I love all of their products. They did so much influencer, content creator, marketing. It was unreal. They reached out to me practically on a weekly basis and said, Rob, here's a sponsorship opportunity. Do you want to promote our products? And their offers were really, really generous. I always said no because I don't really do sponsored content here on Mad About Skin. It's not really something I enjoy doing or think you guys would appreciate. And also, I wasn't a huge fan of the brand, if I'm totally honest. However, lots of content creators did promote their products and sales went through the roof. Ultimately, though, this is a brand that's now in decline, particularly in the skincare category. Their hair care products are really well received and continue to sell ridiculously well. So I think there's a future for functional beauty hair care products, but their skincare kind of just faded, and I wouldn't be surprised if the brand didn't drop their skincare collection relatively soon. The problem was this claimed to be customized skincare, but actually beyond ticking a few boxes and maybe getting a small tweak in terms of the formulation, there was no real customization. You got your name and it said like function of Rob, which didn't really make a whole lot of sense anyway. You got that on it, but beyond that it wasn't that heavily customized. And when you've got like Curology, Dermatica and other brands that actually do create custom formulations just for your skin, Functional Beauty really couldn't compete. Their products weren't that amazing. I think people saw through a lot of the influencer advertising, and honestly, this is a brand that just kind of faded into obscurity. Like I say, I think their hair care products, which are genuinely really good and have much more bespoke customization than the skincare ever have, I think they've got a really bright future. I just won't be surprised if Functional Beauty don't drop the skincare pretty soon. Now, let's talk First Aid Beauty. This is a brand which actually, was receiving so much hype just before I launched the Mad About Skin channel. I never really tried anything for First Aid Beauty because by the time I got round to investing in some new brands to review, the shine had already started to come off and people had started to say, this brand, there's a few problems, it's not really a brand that I'm going to be using. So I stayed well clear. I've tried a couple of their products and they were okay. I don't think they were anything amazing, but the price point was never that ridiculously over the top, so I was happy to put them through their paces. I was just left ultimately a bit underwhelmed. This, though, is a case of a brand taking that hype and popularity and kind of doing everything in their power to destroy it. So first and foremost, they decided to sell into mainland China, so they were no longer cruelty-free. I think they were shocked with just how much that cruelty-free label actually mattered to the consumer. I think they thought they could kind of drop that, no one would notice, no one would care, and then actually a lot of people said no. It was called out all over the press, in blogs, in articles, and people said, yeah, you know what, a brand that kind of turns their back on their ethics, we don't really want a part to. So I think that started the decline. They then, to conform with some new market legislation, decided to reformulate their whole suite of products. Fortunately, they didn't just tweak what they needed to tweak. They mixed in and took out some really beneficial ingredients and put filler ingredients in place of them. And people noticed, people really noticed. They tried to hush it up. They didn't really announce that the reformulation had taken place, but everyone bought their products and was like, okay, this serum that was game-changing like 2 years ago now does nothing for my skin. The moisturizer doesn't moisturize. These products are garbage. What happened? And then they looked at the ingredients and it was like night and day. Same name on the packet, but night and day in terms of the formulation with such cheap filler ingredients, and everyone thought, no, this isn't for us. And now you very rarely see First Aid Beauty. Now, I think they're still doing relatively well in some other markets. I know they're huge in China. I know that they're really big in Latin America. So they might be doing absolutely well for themselves. But I think here in Europe and North America, Australasia, people have just started to look and think, this kind of isn't the brand that I was hyping and loving like 3 years ago. Everything's changed, and so why bother purchasing from them? And I think this is a completely valid criticism, and First Aid Beauty really only have themselves to blame. Now let's come on to a brand that's very dear to my heart, Clearasil. Now, I don't think there was any child of the 90s that got through their teen years without plastering their skin with Clearasil. It was like the #1 best-selling acne brand and acne treatment in the world. It did nothing. Actually, no, that's a lie. It did a lot. It aggravated your skin. It made your breakouts flare up. It didn't really do anything to help, is what I'm trying to say. But we still bought it because really it was the only thing commercially available that was specifically targeting acne. Now, the whole world's moved on. There's so many better acne treatments. Differin, which is like the gold standard acne retinoid, is now over the counter in a lot of countries. You can get some really great acne fighting medication that you don't need to go to a dermatologist or a GP for. At the time, though, Clearasil was like the one and only. Clearasil had a whole suite of acne products. They had the acne gel that you put on specific pimples. They had those pads, which honestly, I used every single day. They were so abrasive. They contained hydrogen peroxide. They kind of bleached any hair that you got on. You went up with no eyebrows or super light eyebrows because it's kind of bleached everything, and it stripped your skin. These played into our insecurities. I hated my skin. I hated my acne. I would have done anything to get rid of it, and I was kind of taking my frustration, anger, and lack of self-confidence confidence out on my skin. And I scrubbed and I scrubbed and I scrubbed until my face was literally red raw with these pads. And of course it did nothing. It made everything worse. But Clearasil were in our minds. You had to buy them to get the clear skin. They had the celebrity endorsements and all of that. If you look back, if you go into the stores, you can still get them in some drugstores. Have a sniff of their products. Just one smell of it and it's like rubbing alcohol. You go nowhere near it. And I think the reason that this isn't a brand that is particularly prevalent now, it's difficult to see in stores, is because the whole world's moved on. Thankfully, we have better acne treatment, and Clearasil didn't do anything to kind of update their image, reformulate their products. So again, it's kind of their fault that they're no longer bringing in the sales that they were. For me, definitely this is just progress, and I would reach out to anyone and say, don't hate on your acne, don't hate on your skin, and don't reach for the abrasive pads. Look at some gentle treatments, honestly. Just take it from someone that scrubbed and scrubbed and scrubbed. You'll get better benefits from gentle treatments than you ever will from a good old-fashioned Clearasil pad. Now let's end on a brand that again is quite close to my heart. Keep Cool and Soothe. I say close to my heart because I've got a personal run-in with Keep Cool and Soothe over the years, so I know just how it feels to be on the receiving end of their really poor and shady business practices. So this is a Korean brand that was doing really, really well. They had that hyped bamboo toner, they had a really popular sunscreen, they had some other products too. Influencers loved them, they looked the sleek packaging, the innovative ingredients they used. It was like the poster child for like good, gentle skincare. Then the Korean sunscreen scandal hit, and a lot of people started to say, okay, the brands that are failing, you know, under independent testing, the products that are delivering below the SPF the brands advertised, all formulated in one lab. A lab that also formulated and manufactured the Keep Cool and Soothe sunscreen. So lots of people put two and two together and said, okay, they're probably quite linked, and I wouldn't be surprised if Keep Cool and Soothe wasn't also performing below the SPF 50 plus the brand claimed. Well, Keep Cool and Soothe had none of that, and they said, no, 100% confidence in our product. And if anyone dare say otherwise, we're going to come down on you like a ton of bricks. Well, their version of a ton of bricks was actually a little bit laughable. They sent me, when I said this, their marketing team sent me a cease and desist email, which was so badly written, full of garbage. It came from the marketing team, not the legal team, which was like the first like light bulb moment that maybe they're not that serious about this, threatening that if I dared repeat any of the claims, they'd take legal action. They never were going to do any of that. Unfortunately, quite a few influencers really took this to heart, particularly the smaller content creators that felt a bit more vulnerable, and some people cancelled their channels, some people took down their Instagram posts. It all just got a little bit heated and a little bit messy. I think I've been around the block long enough to know that when the marketing team sends you a cease and desist email, they don't mean it. It needs to come from a legal team or don't bother. And this was just bad marketing 101. So of course, they then came out like 2 weeks later and said, yeah, our sunscreen's like SPF 10, not SPF 50 plus. And everyone was like, great. So you threatened a load of people for nothing because you actually knew that your sunscreen was subpar. This just left everyone feeling totally cold. And since that moment, I don't think a single influencer has mentioned Keep Cool and Soothe in a positive light. Their sales have gone like that. You've seen it pulled from a lot of stores, particularly online retailers, and very few people even mention Keep Cool and Soothe now. So again, a case of like one bad PR moment, kind of tarnishing a brand for life, and I think they'll struggle to recover from this. There are so many other brands that I could have listed in this. I was going to talk about Herbivore, but actually, you know what? Whilst you don't see them in physical stores that much after their Bakucho scandal, actually, they're still really popular online. I do see a lot of content creators talking about them. I know a lot of people have issues with Sunday Riley, particularly around their fake reviews, but again, they're still selling really, really well. So I wanted this video to kind of focus in on those brands that were super popular at one point, but kind of faded into obscurity. Not those that kind of overcame their own scandals and their own issues. I think that's like for another post. But sound off in the comments section below with any of your personal recommendations of brands that you think deserve featuring in this video today. Wherever you are in the world, guys, stay safe, stay well, and love your skin. Take care. Bye!